Hey everybody, welcome to the History of D&D Weekly for June 27th, 2020. I'm your host, GM Gallibond. Hey everybody, we are going to continue our series of discussing the elements of original D&D in our History of D&D Weekly. And today we are going to be looking at a class review of the Magic User. Magic User was the forerunner of the Wizard, so let's go ahead and dive into that. All right, like all arcane spellcasters throughout the history of D&D, Magic User's most important attribute is their intelligence, and so that becomes a prime requisite in this original edition of the rules. They get an experience bonus of 5% for intelligence 13 to 15, and an experience bonus of 10% for intelligence 16 to 18. Now they hit dice. These guys start off incredibly weak in terms of hit points, physically and stamina-wise. 1d4 hit points. A club from a mediocre goblin can fell one of these guys very easily at first level. And they get 1d4 hit points plus their constitution bonus all the way up to 9th level. Starting at 10th level, they only get 1 hit point per level, and they no longer get their hit constitution adjustment. Now, maximum level is 36, like all the other classes we looked at so far. Armor, no armor for you. You wear a robe. No armor. And no shield permitted either. And weapon, well, if you're going to be really strict about it, they're only allowed to use a dagger. Can't use any other weapons. Just a little knife. That's all they get. Now, optional at the DM's discretion, they can use a staff, blowgun, flaming oil, holy water, net, thrown rock, sling, or whip. And special abilities, well, they get to cast magic spells. Okay, so they study the power of magic, and they begin to learn arcane spells and everything. Magic User concentrates on learning and casting magic spells. High Constitution will keep Magic User alive longer. Magic Users greatly fear damage because they can't survive very much. And they start as the weakest characters, but they eventually become the most powerful characters in the game. And that's because of the progression curve. Fighters and magic users are kind of polar opposites when it comes to their progression curve. A fighter has a linear progression curve. So if you look at where it starts and you look at where it can go, there's a nice steady increase. And it just sort of goes up and up and up and up like this. Like a ski slope or a ski lift going up the side of a mountain. A magic user has an exponential power curve. So they start off very, very, very weak, but then, they kind of do this thing where they start to get really, really, really powerful. And we'll take a look at that in just a moment when we look at the experience table. So magic users start at level 1. They get a single first level spell. Now you notice magic user spells goes all the way up to level 9, just like today. We said clerics only go up to level 7, but arcane spells go all the way up to 9. Well, then you look at their curve of how many spells they start to get. And it's not long before you can start to see these really begin to add up. And it seems like there's kind of a linear curve of when they add them, but if you start looking at the number of spell slots they have, so they start off with 1, then they get 2, then they get 3, then they get 4, they get 5, they get 6. Okay, then at level 7 they get get 8. Then they get 10. Then they go from 10 to 12. 12, they get 14. 14, they go 7, 10, 13, 15, 16. 12, and from 11 to 12, they go 12, 15, 17, 18. So 16 to 18. Then 12, 12 and 5 is 17, and 2 is 19. So there's a little bit of a dip there. Then they go 16 and 5, so that's 21. And 12 and 5 is 17. 17 and 6 is 23. Well, they keep going, all the way down at level 6. 99999999999. So every day, a 36 level magic user has 81 spell slots they can cast. Try to imagine in D&D a time where in any one day your character would need to cast 81 spells. It's kind of insane. They become super powerful, and it goes more than that, because we're going to take a look at some magic user spells and show you what happens with magic user spells in this edition of the game. 5th edition, you're aware that cantrips automatically level up when a character hits a new tier. Well, all spells, or most spells that deal damage in original D&D, have that same kind of element, but sometimes that rise in power is much more rapid, and we'll look at a couple of specific examples about that. All right, magic users have saving throws like every other class, and when they start out, they're pretty weak saving throws. By the time they're in, just 2s across the board. Okay. Let's see. Special abilities. Okay, they cast spells. They can become mages if they build a stronghold. They attract, apprentices and people who come and study at their tower. They can become independent wizards. They they have all kinds of other things. Then if they travel, they can become magi, a magus or a magi. Or I guess a magus is in singular, and a magi is the plural. Then any damage causing spell can produce a maximum of 20 dice of damage. So that's one little thing that you have to be aware of. So then let's take a look at 2 of these spells here. Spells and spell casting. And we'll look at the magical spells. And we're going to take a look at first level magical spells. I want to take a look at Magic Missile. Okay. So Magic Missile is 150 feet, and it creates 1 or more arrows. Now, in original D&D, Magic Missile was actually a glowing arrow that would materialize and hover next to the magic user until he was ready to cast it. And it inflicts, instead of 1d4 plus 1, it inflicts 1d6 plus 1. And it is, and it's unerring. You don't have to aim it. So, when shot, Magic Missile automatically will hit any visible target the spellcaster specifies. Now, For every 5 levels of experience, 2 more missiles are created by the same spell. So he starts off with only 1. In 5th edition, you get 3 to begin with. So for every 5 levels, you get 2 more missiles created by the same spell. So if you think about at 5 levels, you get 3. 10, you get 5. 15, you get 7. 20, you get 9. 25, you get 11. 30, you get 13. At 35th level, you have 15 magic missiles, each dealing 1d6 plus 1. So that's a minimum of 30. And 70, 35, right? 70 and 35. So up to 105 damage from a single first level spell slot. And he's got 9 first level spell slots that he can use. So a very high level magic user could take it down a dragon all by himself. Just unerring, unavoidable damage that just is automatically going to hit every time he casts it. So that's one example. Now let's take a look at the 3rd level, at the good old-fashioned fireball. Okay. Now, explosion in a sphere 40 feet of diameter. Spell creates a missile of fire that bursts into a fireball where it strikes the target. Fireball will cause 1d6 points of fire damage per level of the caster to every creature in the area of effect. You don't have to upcast it from a 3rd level spell slot. You simply use the 3rd level spell slot, and every time you gain a level of experience, it adds another die to the fireball. Now, unfortunately, they cap that at 20. But still, 21st level wizard using a 3rd level spell slot can do a 20d6 fireball against enemies. Now you start to see why the power curve of magic users is so incredibly exponential in this original edition. They just keep getting more powerful and more powerful and more powerful and more powerful as the game goes along. So that's something to keep in mind if you're thinking about playing a magic user character. All right. Well, that's going to just about do it for our discussion of magic users this week. Hope you've enjoyed this, and if you're going to be playing in the reboot of the History of D&D game, this maybe is a reason to think about rolling a magic user character, because if you're the kind of player that can stand to build up the power of a character, you can eventually become extremely powerful as a magic user in this game. It takes a while, takes a bit of working, but it can get there. All right. If you like what we're doing on this channel, go ahead and please hit the subscribe button down below. If you click that little bell, then that will notify you every time we drop a new video on the channel. And we will see you again next week for the History of D&D weekly. Don't forget that every day of the week we drop new videos covering different aspects of the game. So please leave your comments below, interact with us. We'd love to hear your questions about different things. And in the description of the video, you'll find out how you can follow me on all of my social media platforms, as well as how you can check out the the live D&D games that I stream every week on my Twitch channel. All right, everybody. Thank you very much. I have been DM Gallibond, and that is going to do it for this week. Good night.